Now, the news for South Mississippi. Good morning, Mississippi.
It's 6 o'clock. 2 fires overnight in Gulfport. Just as crews gained control of one, they were rushed to the next scene. Plus, back in court today, new details on the murder of 5-year-old Janaea Thompson in Gulfport.
Well, a few clouds around this morning. Comfortable temperatures later today will heat up to a high near 90 with showers and thunderstorms likely. I'll tell you more about today coming right up.
Breaking overnight, 2 fires ignite just under 10 miles apart. One of those fires was at Trinity Yachts on Seaway Road in Gulfport. WLOX crews rushed to the scene, and this is what we saw. And what you're not seeing is all of the heavy smoke filling the sky. Gulfport Fire Battalion Chief Lonnie Niquez tells us that 8 units on the 2nd floor of a building of a shipyard went up in flames. It took 26 firefighters about an hour to put that blaze out.
Had a fire alarm that had went off and was on scene, people advising that there was smoke showing. And we actually had unit in the area. The first unit, along with myself, was on scene probably within a minute of getting the alarm.
But before the Trinity Yacht fire, crews were busy battling another blaze. A double-wide trailer caught fire on South Swan Road. Officials tell us the front porch of the home and much of the living room is destroyed. No injuries have been reported from either fire. And no word yet what caused the fires. Both of them are under investigation. Do you recognize this man? Officials are identifying him as 27-year-old Joshua Emmanuel Ladner, and they're still looking for him. Harrison County Sheriff's investigators believe he was involved in a fatal accident that killed his wife. As you learned in a WLOX breaking news email, investigators say Joshua Ladner was towing 34-year-old Melissa Ladner's car when it flipped on a curve on Wolf River Road just south of Big Creek Road. Investigators say she was thrown from the car and killed. Deputies and other law enforcement agencies searched for nearly 4 hours in an area off Mennonite Road where they say Ladner dumped his truck and then ran into the woods. If you've seen Ladner or have any information that may help in this case, please call the Harrison County Sheriff's Department at 865-7060. An autopsy is set this morning where authorities determine the official cause of death for a South Mississippi man. As we reported early yesterday morning, the body of 23-year-old Jeremy Jordan was pulled from the water near Bellevue Drive in Bay St. Louis. Hancock County Coroner Jim Falk tells WLOX that Jordan was last seen getting into the water around 4:30 Thursday morning. Developing now, we will soon learn new details on the death of 5-year-old Janaea Thompson. The young girl was tragically murdered in July. In just a few hours at 9 this morning, Alberto Garcia will have a pretrial hearing. He's the only suspect in custody accused of her murder. Officials say Garcia actually implicated himself in the death and sexual battery of the child. Also happening in a South Mississippi courtroom today, will a special judge dismiss Chris McDaniel's challenge, or will the trial move forward? At 2 this afternoon, Judge Hollis McGehee will announce a bench ruling. You may recall certified results show incumbent Thad Cochran won by 7,667 votes. But McDaniel says many irregularities occurred in the runoff, and he's the real Republican nominee. We'll let you know what the judge decides. It's so hard to believe it was 9 years ago today that one of the deadliest and most destructive hurricanes ever made landfall on the Mississippi coast. Take a look. This is what Waveland looked like just hours after the storm. It's a much different view today. Doug Walker joins us live from Waveland this morning with more on the story behind the Ground Zero Museum on this 9th anniversary of Katrina. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning. This morning, in just about 3 hours at 9 o'clock, a special memorial service is going to be held to remember the victims of Hurricane Katrina, August the 29th on Coleman Avenue in Waveland. It should be a very poignant ceremony, something certainly that we always want to remember on that day 9 years ago. Reported live in Waveland, I'm Doug Walker for Good Morning Mississippi.
Thank you, Doug. Definitely. There are several observances throughout the day, and we'll be telling you about those. But a lot of memories, even for us here. I mean, the 3 of us were at WLOX during the storm, hunkered down, and we're looking at video now of what we sustained in terms of damage following the storm. Yeah, it was very eerie to be sitting here in this news studio here at the anchor desk, and as the roof was flying off in the other room and water pouring down onto all of the equipment and everyone rushing in there to try to save what we could. Everybody grab a computer. Yeah. That's what we were doing. We were grabbing computers. running, making way for Studio B.
That's right.
It was all getting wet, though. I mean, there's no avoiding it. It was, I mean, you can tell it was just an absolute mess.
Yeah, and here we are about 1,500 feet or so from the beach. And we are very fortunate that we have the levee, if you will, the railroad tracks, very, very close to us, and that served as a levee for us to keep that water.
And that tall hospital building behind us, it is
kind of buffed, sort of kept the wind away, but it was definitely a day and a night and a period of several weeks to months to remember for sure. Thank you. Good morning, Mississippi. Well, we see a few clouds out there this morning. No real problem with wet streets or any type of severe type fog. We do have some in the next few minutes.
Thanks, Tom. As we're talking about Katrina, in just a few hours, South Mississippians will mark the 9th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina with several memorial services. Now, the first is at the Biloxi Town Green this morning. That service begins at 8:30 in the shadow of the Katrina Memorial Wall on the Town Green. The remembrance and reflection will include a reading of the names of those who died in the storm. And there's a similar ceremony that Doug Walker has been mentioning. It begins at 9 a.m. at the Ground Zero Museum in Waveland at the Waveland Civic Center. And then at 10 this morning, there is a Katrina Memorial Service at War Memorial Park in Pass Christian. Back to court today for the woman accused of illegally administering buttocks enhancement injections that killed another person. What's next in the trial? Ahead.